What's up, guys? So magic always shows up in comics. You could control the elements, perform miracles, you could literally rule the world. But what's really cool are magical weapons. And today I wanted to talk about some interesting ones. Please know that I'm not saying these are the strongest magical weapons in all of comics, I just thought these in particular would be nice to talk about. So without further ado, let's get into it. Up first we got the Soul Sword. This glowing blade belongs to Illyana Rasputin, a member of the X-Men and the sister of Colossus. Illyana created this blade when she was trapped in the rather dark realm of Limbo. So Illyana was trying to figure out what kind of magic she could use to get out of Limbo, but nothing seemed to work until she grabbed a portion of her soul and forged a blade. I guess saying a wise old man gave her the sword wasn't hardcore enough. But regardless, she made the blade, decided to square up with the leader of Limbo, and became the new ruler of Limbo herself. My kind of woman. So the Soul Sword allows you to rule Limbo, giving you access to the dimension and its demons. You can disrupt magic with it, it increases your magical ability and strength. And you can even use teleportation discs, which is Illyana's magical ability. And I gotta say, Illyana has a mutant ability, access to magic, and a sword. That's gotta be cheating. The blade can also grant you mystical armor and even allows you to cast spells even if you couldn't before. Screw a wand, this is what I need to become a wizard. Here's the tricky thing about the sword, it's only really effective against anything magical related, so great against things like magical demons or Doctor Strange, but useless against everything else. However, she was able to hurt Kitty Pryde in the past, who was able to turn intangible. And this makes me think, did Illyana get to penetrate Kitty Pryde before Colossus did? I really like this sword because it's like the biggest representation of magic in the X-Men. I mean, in the world of mutants, you got a few telepaths, some guys with superhuman strength, some really ugly people, but then you got a girl who could summon demons with a glowing sword. That's cool. If I was some bright-eyed kid going on an adventure, I would love to have this sword. Up next, we got the Soul Taker. This enchanted katana belongs to the superhero swordsman known as Katana. I've heard some on-the-nose things, but this just takes the cake. How does DC come up with these names? Archer wearing green. Green Arrow? Girl with a star in her chest. Star Girl. Black guy with lightning powers. Lightning? Hey, remember, make it obvious. Black lightning? There we go, you're hired. Yes! The blade was one of many that were created in the 14th century. It was said to cause evil people to perform evil acts. Evil people do evil things regardless, so I guess the swords were motivating them to do it more? But odd enchantment aside, the sword would be lost for years until it was finally found and sold to a Yakuza member by the name of Takeo Yamashiro. And it would remain in his possession until his wife Tatsu said, "That sword looking kinda nice," and she wasn't talking about his dick, so she took it. And with her new blade, she would become Katana. Now the Soul Taker can cut through bullets, cut through the skin of a metahuman, but its main shtick is pretty straightforward. It steals souls. Anybody she cuts down will be locked away in the blade forever, and she can communicate with these souls and even summon them to help her out. Having a sword that can talk to you at any time cannot be a fun experience.
Damn, man. I can't believe you lost that fight.
It's not like you helped.
What was I supposed to do, hunt him? That was Scarecrow. Come on, man. Hey, man, if you make it to third base with Zatanna, can I watch?
No.
Come on, man. I might be dead, but I still need some action. Hell, you're almost stroking me right now. Oh, worth it. Hey, man, let's get a bacon, egg, and cheese. The Aki way.
1, we're not in New York. 2, you can't eat. 3, what the hell is the Aki way? Now what piques my interest about the blade is that I know it could be a greater blade than what it is. Soul Taker is Shang Tsung if he was a sword. I feel like the writer should run with that a little bit. I'm not saying she should be able to steal Superman's soul and be able to fly and have heat vision, nothing like that, but more along the lines of, if she takes down Killer Frost, the sword should have ice properties now. Something like that. What if she got to summon undead warriors to help her out in a fight, or maybe some magical beast that she got to slay that was now her minion? The blade may not be part of the swing once and multiple attacks happen category, but it can be so much more. Up next is the Ebony Blade. The blade is made by Merlin the Wizard and Sir Percival, who's a knight under King Arthur. Sir Percival would use it and it would be passed down to many different warriors until it would land in the hands of his descendant, Dane Whitman, who is also known as the Black Knight. And the sword would remain his. Well, it was tossed around to a couple different people, but it was his for the most part. Now the sword's blade came from a meteorite, and it might as well be considered Excalibur's opposite because, surprise surprise, the sword is cursed. Null, who's the god of the symbiotes, and who also needs to be the next big bad after we get past the multiverse saga at Marvel, said that the blade can only be used by those impure of art. The sword draws out their negative emotions until they become berserkers. Now one of the sword's names is Chaos the Doombringer, so that makes sense, and it really makes me wonder what kind of person Dane Whitman is. And that's why I think all orphans should stop whining and shut up. Dude, all I said was good morning! The Ebony Blade has a lengthy list of abilities. You could summon it to you like Thor, it's indestructible, being able to cut through most materials. It's immune to magic, it can deflect magic spells, it can project energy. But the most impressive ability it has, you're kind of immortal when you use it. You can get hurt a lot, but as long as the sword is in your possession, you're not gonna die. Now the sword that draws from negative emotions isn't something we haven't seen before, but don't get it twisted, this blade is still dope. If King Arthur was a superhero, I don't think anyone would bat an eye, but to see his opposite become one is a really interesting idea. This could have just been the weapon of a villain, but Dane Whitman said no. He strapped on his black armor, his black Air Forces, and said, "I'm gonna use a cursed weapon for good." You love to see it. Up next is the God Killer. The blade was created for Deathstroke by the Greek god of smithing, Hephaestus. Hephaestus forged a sword for his late brother Apollo so that not only he could honor him, but also fulfill a final request. He would go to the world's deadliest assassin and give him one simple task: kill the Greek titan Lepidus, and he would give him the God Killer to do it. Deathstroke got the job done, and that just means he can take down a god, but not a group of costume teenagers. Trash. What the God Killer does is mainly in the name, but there are some unique things that it can do. It can discharge enough energy to disorient Superman, it can change its form to twin swords, daggers, or even a staff. It increases your physical stats to fight gods, and it even allows you to see your opponent's weakness. To have a weapon called the God Killer and not show it in anything like Wonder Woman, Black Adam, or Shazam is a travesty. And I gotta say, giving the blade to Deathstroke, that man did not need to be any cooler. The next time we see a god or a godlike being show up in a DC movie, forget Superman or some plan made by Batman. This is the weapon I need to see in action. But with all that being said, I just have one question. How did Kratos not get a hold of it? And finally, we got the Bow of Ra. For those of you thinking, why wasn't this just a magical sword list? It almost was, until I found this. Ra, who's the sun god of Egypt, created the bow, and he gifted it to the champion of the Amazons of Bana Migdal, Aquila. This tribe of warriors are former Amazons of Themyscira, and this bow is one of the most sacred treasures. Only the greatest warriors of the tribe can use the bow, and they use it to protect Bana Migdal and to keep it from falling into the wrong hands. Now with this blessed bow, the archer can create solid arrows or arrows made of pure energy, and he can even create the size, shape, and destructive power of each one. The arrows can pierce targets without killing them, light them on fire, and even explode on contact, and at its full power, it can destroy stars. This is Hawkeye's wet dream. This bow can be used by anybody. The bow has a mind of its own, and only it can decide who's worthy of wielding it. Now only the champion Amazon or Shemtar can be considered worthy, but anybody else who tries to wield it will be burned alive. And even if you are worthy, you do still run the risk of getting corrupted by its power, which is what happened with Aquila and why Artemis is the current wielder. Now I'm gonna be real with you guys. I just like that this exists. We're always seeing compound bows and trick arrows, and while those are definitely cool, we never see a bow that just delivers raw power like this one. And it makes me a little sad that this is strictly an Amazon bow, because put this bow in the hands of Green Arrow. This man would do some damage. But to conclude, this bow is hot, and so is Artemis. God damn! And we are done. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe. My socials will be in the description. And please tell me, do you like these weapons? Which one is your favorite? What are some other magical weapons that you like in comics? Are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments.